Hi everyone, this is just a quick announcement to let you know that I've started a podcast for comicbookmovie.com. It's called The Weekly Planet, comes out weekly every Wednesday or Thursday, depending where you're from. There's a few audio glitches in the first episode that resolve themselves after the first 10 minutes or so, and the start is quite jarring through no fault of my own, but you'll see what I mean. The podcast is linked below, or you can search The Weekly Planet on iTunes, and it's right there for you. And I've attached a short sample to this particular video, the first episode of which where we look at the redeeming qualities of universally hated comic book movies. Appreciate your support, everyone. Hope you like it. Okay, so, Spider-Man 3.
No redeeming features.
Look, this is the one on this whole list that I hate the most because it should know better.
Right.
Because it comes from better stock.
Uh-huh.
Because it had two decent films behind it. In particular, Part 2.
I'm going to agree to disagree, but continue.
You're an idiot.
I know.
Part 2 is a good movie.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, basically, I love Spider-Man 2, and I was really excited to see where it would go. So I just want to talk about why I hate the movie before I talk about the very few redeeming qualities. Is that cool?
Please go ahead.
It
is.
Okay.
Yes.
It's weird.
I'm going to veto that. No, continue.
Okay. It's weird. It's like a parody of a Spider-Man film. It's like a parody of the previous two films. You know, the same way that Terminator 3, which again, I don't hate, but is like a parody of the previous two.
Yes.
I feel that way about Spider-Man 3. Like, it's somebody else who's gone, I can make a Spider-Man 3. Somebody who's not Sam Raimi.
Uh-huh.
And it looks like the world, but doesn't fit the world.
Do you think Sam Raimi did that deliberately?
See, that's the thing, though. He might have. Because he's way better than what that movie is.
Yeah. And he did say, I'm not going to use Venom. Venom as a character, as a villain is, it's not a good villain for this. And then they made him do it. Perhaps he self-sabotaged.
And you know what was weird? Like, at the time, I wanted to see Venom, and he came out and said, or whoever came out and said, we're doing Sandman. And I went, I don't really want to see Sandman. Rather see Venom, whatever. In hindsight, I was wrong on that because they absolutely... Not that I even love the character of Venom, but I just thought it would have been an interesting villain for him to go up against. Somebody who's got the same kind of skill set as him, plus a little bit more. Plus you can do the whole black suit thing and whatever. But anyway, there's no explanation for where the black suit comes from.
You're forgetting space.
Yeah, but that's... Yeah.
No, like outer space?
Outer space.
Like there's stuff in outer space,
the black,
right?
when you look up.
We're pointing up, listeners. We're both pointing up.
My
in
arm's
space.
pointing up.
Yep.
Yeah. But, yeah, okay, look. I know it's from space in the comics, or in some incarnations of the comics, it's from space or whatever. But it just, a meteor drops out of nowhere, lands 20 feet from Peter Parker. Is that intentional? It could have been. They don't explain whether it is or not. If it was intentional, they should have mentioned that. Otherwise, what are the chances of that happening? What is the statistical probability of that happening? Answer me. Use maths and answer the... Sorry.
Well, pretty good. No, it's not true. It's not. It's slim to none. No, you're right.
The point is, they didn't have to do it that way. They could have done it in I know in Ultimate Spider-Man, it's created in a lab.
It's a cure for cancer.
Something like that. Yeah. Have you read it? I think I read a few.
Many years ago, sure.
Yeah. But and which would have made more sense because those films they're not realistic, but the science is
they're not?
the science is like pseudo-realistic, and in the sense that it makes its own set of rules and it sticks to them.
Yeah,
except for 3.
All the villains in Spider-Man, generally speaking, are some sort of misfit of science. There's some sort of science experiment gone wrong. So it'd make perfect sense for Venom to be that.
Exactly. Like Green Goblin in the movies, Gast is the Green Goblin. Doc Ock, regular guy, arms drilled into his back. Octopus Man. That's what they call him, right?
Yeah, Octopus Man.
Octopus Man, yeah.
Yep.
So that all makes sense, and all of a sudden
Larry Octopus.
Yeah, Larry Octopus. And then it's suddenly space alien.
Yeah.
Just for
no reason. Exactly. Yeah.
And again, maybe that comes back to what you were saying. He just did it like, whatever. This is what's happening.
And it is weird that they could have added a line. They could have added a deleted scene. They could have added a scene where like a scientist creates it and then just like fires it out of a cannon. Like accidentally. Yep.
That would work. Yeah, sure.
It would make more sense.
It would make more. I don't know why he would fire that kind of happened in the last Spider-Man. Remember, he fires the lizard gas out of the...
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it.
That's okay.
I'm tired of Spider-Man movies, I'll be honest with you.
I'm
tired of origin films. I think I've mentioned that.
Not to me. But, but look... sorry, I got a whole list of things here. Yeah, I already said that. Hang on. Yeah, I said Dr. Connors could have developed it. Even though that's not what happened in the comics, but you could have done it because he's in it. They set him up to be the lizard, and then they never do that for obvious reasons. But look, Venom, as we said, it's a terrible villain to use. It's a poor use of him. He's really poorly cast. I don't hate Topher Grace, but that's a really poor casting decision. But I think Sandman, the character of Sandman, and what they did with him in that movie, for the little he was in it, was actually quite interesting. Because unlike Venom, who's just at the end like, I just want to be bad, I'm a jerk, just because I got fired, and he prays that Peter Parker gets killed. Like, he just makes that leap.
Yep.
Sandman's like kind of sympathetic, the way that the other two villains in the previous movies were. Where it's kind of like, you knew where he was coming from, he had the sick daughter, and that kind of makes sense. And I think if it had have been just the black suit, where you've got like a really kind of brutal kind of Spider-Man going up against a sympathetic villain like Sandman, I think that would have made it much more interesting than whatever happened. Also, I was going to swear again, like stop myself. Whatever happened
That's
in the
fine.
end.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I don't know. For me personally, like I enjoyed Spider-Man 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But personally, I didn't feel that Spider-Man 3. It's not great, certainly.
No.
The dance sequence certainly isn't great.
Is it not?
Or it's the best part of the film,
Yeah.
but it's not great. Spider-Man 1 and 2 are not films that I would put on just to have a fun evening in.
No.
Like, I feel that, like, Spider-Man is sort of he's the original sort of hard luck hero, where he's like, how do I juggle these identities and, pay my rent and all this sort of stuff.
I would argue that Steel from the movie Steel is the original hard luck hero.
You haven't seen it.
Sorry, go on. But yeah, you're right. Go on.
But he's also a fun-loving character, and he's has crazy adventures and
but
what
he's not
have
very
you.
fun-loving. And
He's not. It's what they seem to have done is they've taken the X number of decades of his existence, and extracted all the misery and packed it into 9 hours.
Yeah.
So like his parents are dead, and his Uncle Ben is dead, and he lives in like this rat hole house, and they're gonna evict him and his aunt all the time, and he can't tell Mary Jane that he's the hero, and everybody hates him, and
he's late.
He's late to things. He's late to operas all the time.
He is late to a lot of operas,
and just I don't know. Just a lot of misery packed into those.
That is that's a really good point.
So it's not a fun watch.
Any of them. So you would argue that they're all terrible on some level.
Yes. No, they're good. They're well made.
And again, it's like the Daredevil thing, where they're very much of the time, and they did lead to better things. I think people learn from the mistakes. The multiple villain thing, they packed them into 3. I think less films have done that than since then, because they know it's a terrible idea to pack a film with villains. Hence why you've only got like Loki and the Chitauri and the Avengers and other things that I cannot remember.
Other examples? Sure.
Wolf fight. Just wolves.
Just wolves. They were going to have wolves and killer clowns.
Yeah.
But then they were like,
That's right, yeah. Wolf fight, just wolves. That's
just
what it's
wolves,
called, yeah. Great movie.
I can't believe it's just wolves, subtitle.